Welcome back. Episode 3, a special episode of the Full Program Golf podcast with me, Josh Conlon, and on the screen, Stevie McAvoy. Bit of a special one. We are doing this one virtually. Obviously, it's been the Masters, so we are going to have a bit of a Masters recap, a little Masters chop up, and we thought we'd just get this out to you and see what you think. So, Stevie, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad. Yeah, I think Josh and I were kind of texting back and forth during the final round yesterday, and we were just like, should we just do a podcast on this?
Got to be done, hasn't it? You know, I think everyone's doing one, to be fair. But it was a good Masters, wasn't it? Enjoyed it.
It was a good Masters. So tell me, how many minutes in total did you miss of the coverage from Thursday?
Well, it was on the screen every minute. So I had it on the screen. Obviously, UK came on 2:00, I think, the start of the coverage on Thursday, Friday. Doesn't quite have every shot. You could get a little bit of red button action for Amen Corner feature groups, but I just left normal coverage, pottering away in the background. So that was all the way through Thursday, Friday. Ended up going down to the golf club and watching it up there with a few of the guys, things like that, which was nice. And then Saturday, Sunday, I think it came on about 5:00 here. Played golf in the day, so managed to not miss any. And then watched it the whole way through, albeit Saturday evening, maybe missed a couple of shots, getting a little bit lively in the club bar. Called out RMS before, that's what it does. So that was good. And then a Masters comp yesterday, which was good before the Masters, which we'll get into. How about you? Did you catch much of it?
Yeah, so I went to Madrid for the weekend. I'm in Barcelona at the minute. And so I was kind of hawking scoreboards as closely as I could. But was predominantly kind of highlights through Thursday, Friday. But then I was back and, watched the whole thing Sunday, which I think is really the kind of meat and potatoes of it. So it was good. It was very good. I was going to ask, how much golf did you play alongside watching?
Yeah, so we had 18 both days. I alluded to the Masters comp. It's a nice tournament that the club puts on. So what we do is it's four players in a team, two scores to count. So what you shoot as a 4, so say you're 10 under, which wouldn't be good enough, but just easy maths. Say you're 10 under, you then also get drawn a player. So we actually got Patrick Reed. Not the best. Yeah. Wasn't in contention. Not really someone that I personally would root for. So I wasn't particularly pleased with that. But we had Reed, and then whatever they shoot adds or subtracts to your score. So say we were -10 and Reed shoots from 5 under, we're 15 under. And then that's how it is. And as it stands, Reed shot 1 over. We were only 13 under. So wasn't great. We weren't anywhere near it. But actually, the team that won on the day actually picked out Scheffler, who had the second best score. And yeah, they had the second best score anyway. So not only did they pick the winner, have someone who had basically the best round of the day other than Tom Kim, they won themselves. So it was nice. Justice.
Was it Tom Kim the lowest round on Sunday?
Yeah, 6 under.
Wow.
Yeah, he had a crazy weekend. So 77 5 over Saturday.
Yeah.
Quick math here. 66 6 under Sunday for a 1 under weekend total.
Good for him. Yeah. So, I mean, I suppose the inevitable did happen. Scotty Scheffler won it.
Yeah.
Never in doubt, was it?
Called it, though. Called it. Missed it, Conlon. Yeah, he's back. I said if he doesn't win Texas, then it's going to help his chances. And here he is.
So we were watching it. Josh and I texting back and forth, and he was just texting me. He was just like, that clip from the Bulgaria podcast. He was like, snip it up, get it on the gram.
So I remember that.
Yeah.
I needed that because obviously my pre-tournament picks were hanging. Absolutely awful. Connors did all right. I mean, he was 50th.
I mean, you went for outsiders. You did say that.
Yeah, I went each way, but even the each way bets weren't good. I mean, I can talk through the bets that I did individually that did okay, but the 3 I named on the podcast, Connors felt really good after 2 rounds. He was -2. He was right in the tournament, and I could just feel some clips going out again. I was really getting excited, but he just went backwards. Joaquin Neiman. I don't think I mentioned on the podcast, but I've been talking about him a lot. He went backwards. Matsuyama, I did mention. He was very disappointing. Really disappointing. I think he'd be disappointed. Couldn't believe that he made double bogey to basically let everyone in. Him and Thomas. But he got in, obviously. And then Justin Rose just shoot 6 over second day to miss the
Well,
cut.
I didn't think Matsuyama was going to make the cut for quite a long time.
No, I didn't. I didn't either. And well, we'll get on to why that really was impacting me, because he was one of my 4 picks. But yeah, we'll cover that off. But yeah, Scotty Scheffler, deserved winner, comfortably best golfer in the world.
Yeah.
Again, Tiger-esque. World number 1, goes and wins it.
I tell you what, I've just been praying for a really interesting, tight back 9 at the Masters the last couple of years, and we just haven't been getting it. Like when Ludwig pulled it into the water on 11, it was pretty much done from there. I mean, but Scotty was clutch. I mean, he absolutely stuffed it on, I think it was 9 and one of the other
9 and 10.
Yeah. Was it 10?
I think it was like back to back. No, 14. 9 and 14. Sorry.
Yeah. And at that point, it was
14 was playing easy. Easy for them, Christ.
Easy for them. but
yeah. Then when you mentioned Oberg putting it in, I mean, I've probably just butchered his name, Orberg, into the water on 11.
Yeah.
That was like all within like a 5-minute period of Homer putting it in the bush on 12.
Oh, what
Oberg hitting it in there. Morikawa was just having, every time he made a mistake, it was a double. So out of nowhere, there was 4 stuck together. 3 of them decided to just go one way, and Scheffler was like, nah, I'm just going to go and win this. So it looked like it was going to be tight, and it just wasn't.
Yeah, but, Ludwig Oberg, or however you want to say it, I mean, that is an incredibly good effort on major debut, not just Masters debut.
Sensational. I think this is going to sound weird take. Never thought he'd win. Even when he was joint leader, I just was like, he's not going to win. I didn't expect him to finish solo second. Phenomenal. But I don't know if maybe that was easier because he wasn't going to win. So it was almost, you're not playing for the jacket. You're playing for money. But that doesn't mean they're not to these guys. They're all got that much, right? I don't know if that helped. Phenomenal performance either way.
I mean, he looked incredibly relaxed all day. I mean, even when he hit it into the water, he was kind of, laughing and smart. He knew he'd made a big mistake, but he was still kind of he still looked like he was in a good place and finished well, to be fair to him. So, I mean, you got to think he's worth a flutter on the majors for the rest of the year.
He's top 10 in the world for a reason, right? He is a robot. His golf swing is so good. There's just no miss. He will win majors. He has to. He is so good. To, less than a year in to his professional career.
Yeah.
He's won a Ryder Cup. He's won on both tours. Doesn't get much better, does it, really? He's finished second in his only major. It's pretty good.
Yeah, Ryder Cup under the belt. Yeah, not bad at all. So, I mean, I was obviously rooting for him hard, but so I think Josh and I spoke about in the previous pod how when it comes to major season, all the boys, we basically pick 4 players. And Josh, do you want to give a rundown of how the kind of criteria those 4 go?
Yeah, sure. So there's 4 players. You got to pick one from the world ranking 1 to 10, 1 11 to 20, 21 to 40, and then 41 plus, which since Liv, as we mentioned, has got some real curveballs in that 41 plus category. And the one little wrinkle in it is that you can take more players from the category behind. So if you didn't want a world's 1 to 10, or you didn't want a world's 11 to 20, you could do 2 from 21 to 40. Or you could do all 4 41 plus. That's how it works. You just can't have too many lower.
Yeah. And so the reason I wanted Josh to explain that there is because everyone picked Scotty Scheffler for their 1 to 10, which obviously was the right thing to do. But I was just trying to shake it up a little bit because, if Scotty has a bad week, that ultimately would wipe out 3/4 of the kind of 30 boy putting in money on this. And so I'm just going to pick someone different. And I picked Ludwig, which is a really stupid pick on paper. It's his major debut. It's his Masters debut. Everyone knows that in your Masters debut, you don't go and win the tournament. And that's really what you're looking for from that 1 to 10 pick. But I threw him in there. And to see him do this well, it felt like I got away with one by picking him. But in reality, this is how it played out. I had Ludwig up top. I had Matsuyama in the second slot, and Josh, I believe you did as well.
Yeah.
Who, disappointing, he placed 35th. I had Zalatoris in my third slot, who I think finished 9th in the end. Really good weekend. And then where I made a huge amount of ground up on everyone is I had Bryson in my fourth slot, who finished 6th. Decent amount of money on this, like definitely something you'd want to take home. And I was one shot in the lead coming down to kind of the last few final holes.
And just before you finish, sorry, to clarify it, it's adding up on their position. So if they finished 1, 2, 3, 4, they'd be 10.
Yeah, that's right. And so you're looking for the lowest number. So I had, and I'm not a particularly big gambler, and the reason as to why is because the low of losing is so much lower than the high of winning for me. And so it's, I'm an hour ahead of you guys in the UK. So it's like 1 a.m. on a Sunday night, and I am awake because I'm thinking I'm leading this pot. And I watched Bryson miss a short one on 16, bogey 17 to drop back to 6th place, right? Then Colin Morikawa bogeyed the 18th hole, which allowed me to fall into a tie for joint first with 2 other people because they had Homer, and Homer moved up a spot and Fleetwood. They had Homer and Fleetwood in their second slot, and they both moved up a slot as a result of Morikawa's bogey. Morikawa's bogey cost me £400. And it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm sat in bed absolutely raging. I could not believe what slipped between my fingers over the period of about 15 minutes.
I did think about that. Obviously we were messaging, and I actually think that when you put your picks in on Wednesday evening, whatever it was, I think I even was as brazen to send you a message being like, they are hanging picks. You've just chucked 20 quid away. How wrong I was. But I just worked out. I know you picked Oberg and he was second.
Mm-hmm.
You were obviously tied. So if you had just picked Scheffler, you'd have won.
And do you know what? That was the full circle point I was going to go back to, that if I just wasn't trying to be smart, and then I'd have just gone for the rest of my picks, which were all on pretty sound logic, to be honest. I would have done it. And so in reality, I fell into a joint first place with 3 other people, and it goes down to the highest placing pick out of your 4, and they obviously both had Scheffler. So it was then up to them to split the pot. So yeah, don't know. Might sit out the next major. I'm feeling pretty scarred by yesterday's experience. And to be honest, I couldn't care less Scotty won by the end. I was absolutely fuming.
Well, yeah, needless to say, my picks didn't do that. So I went Scheffler. Pretty self-explanatory. In the second spot, I went Matsuyama. I've talked about him. Really, really expected a finish from him. He's been good all season. He won at Riviera. He's been top 10 rest of the events. Just did not see that first round coming at all. Couldn't believe it. He couldn't make a putt. But that was why I picked him. Third spot, I picked Koepka. He has no form. He's been playing really average. I just expected him to just be the player he's always been. Turn up when it matters, when he cares. And he didn't. I know he made the cut, but again, he didn't. 21-40. Zalatoris would have been a great pick. There were a few of us that made some ground up. And then in the last spot, again, I've been talking about Neiman. I once again thought that Neiman...
He was disappointing.
So disappointing. I really felt like he was just printing money. Couldn't see him outside the top 10. He's played well around Augusta before. He's won 3 times this season, twice on Live, once in Australia. I couldn't see how he didn't play well. And he even started well. I think he was 1 under through his first 9. Then he made a double out of nowhere, and it was just kind of hanging around par. So needless to say, I was nowhere near it. Did manage to hit a Fleetwood each way bet, which was always nice.
Very
and
nice.
Hatton bogeyed 17 and 18 to finish T9.
Yeah.
And I'd backed him each way for top 8 places. So if bogeyed both of them, That would have been a nice 55-1 each way.
Yeah.
But needless, enough about our gambling. Let's get into the tournament itself. We've covered Scheffler won.
Yeah.
Shock. That's not really a story. He slipped the green jacket on his shoulders again, second time.
Here's a question for you on Scheffler. So the media all week were saying, if his wife goes into labour, he's going to leave, he's going to leave, he's going to leave. Where do you think the tipping point is on the back nine where, the text comes through and it's just like your wife's gone into labour, but you've got a kind of 3-4 shot lead on the back nine of the Masters? Like, surely past hole 11, you're like, tell her to hold it in. You can wait.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, the fact that he was even going to walk off the course is wild. So my whole brain was like, no, you're not. You're just not. I think he would have. I genuinely think he's like that bloke. I think Scheffler, he seemed a good bloke. I think 11, he'd have walked. I do. I think once he was on 16, I know that's late. I know that's really late. I think at that point, it's just a case of, look, it's only a short par 3 and a couple of
you got to
get it in anyway. Yeah, get her get her walking, get her in the ambulance, send her off. But yeah, it would have been very interesting viewing, and I think the whole field would have been like, what? Out of nowhere, Oberg's leading the Masters by 3.
That would have been wild, wouldn't it? Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't wish bad golf on anyone, but like, it really was by the middle of the back nine. Like, you're just hoping Scotty Scheffler does something absolutely ludicrous to try and get this tournament back going, because it was just, felt like it was done from about Ludwig's 11th.
Yeah, he needed to do a Spieth in 16 when he let Danny Willett in. Well, he let everyone in. Danny Willett was the only one with the bottle to close it out.
What a fall from grace at Augusta Spieth has had. I mean, he was just woeful again this year, and you just think those first couple of years it looked like he had it so solved around there, and you'd have thought, from a course management perspective, that same brain exists in there, and it just shows you that confidence and riding that wave is just such a big deal, because it's the same track. Yes, there's little changes they've made, but really, if you can play well around Augusta, that should see you through kind of each year, as we saw with Tiger.
He made so many non-Spieth-like decisions. He's normally a very shrewd operator. Right? He gets the most out of his game, as shown by what he's won, the majors he's won. Yeah. And as you say, great record at Augusta. He's not been playing great, but he's not been as bad as he has been. And for him to start with that double bogey on 1, which was like duff chip, bad putting, just poor decision-making, was really, again, as I say, un-Spieth-like, and set up the whole tournament for him. He never, ever looked like making the cut after that. And then what did he do? He made like $1 million. He made a 9 on 15, which was, again, just weird. He's got great short game, and he just basically bladed one into the water.
Yeah. No,
wild.
It was not particularly good scoring. So, I mean, I mentioned Tiger there. What did you think of his 4 rounds in totality?
I know he said he thought he could win, and I do think he thinks he can win. I think that's the mentality he is. That's why he's as good as he's been. I think you could see his winning this week was making the cut, making that 24 consecutive cuts, having that record above and beyond Gary Player, and is it Nicholas? They're the other two. Freddie Couples, 23. They were at. So he battled those 2 days. I actually thought his second round was sensational in the conditions that were out there. Him to go out there and play 24 holes, 23 holes that day.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of the boys was offering out odds that he's going to miss the cut, and I really wanted to take the bet, but given he was going to play more than 18 second day, I didn't know if he'd be able to do that, which is wild to talk about a 40-odd-year-old man not being able to play that many. Just shows he's battered. His body is battered. Shows the level of problems in his body. But for him to, I thought it was brilliant. For him to make the cut was fantastic. I think he did exactly what he set out to do. And you could see that from his last 2 days. The intensity wasn't there. He doesn't shoot 80 odd normally.
Yeah, that Saturday score, I think, said 1,000 words that Friday was his Sunday. And God, did he play well on the Friday. I think I saw a video on Instagram where he was applying like a kind of like deep heat cream to his kind of lower back region. And you could see he's also got like a pain pad that's actually fixed to his lower spine as he's playing. So, I mean, this guy he's creaking at this point. And I can't imagine that Augusta is the best course for his body. And I actually I think that the coverage has got better and better over the years of actually showing angles where you can actually see the elevation change. Because I think forever and ever, it was always, that was the talk. And it was like, oh, when you go, you really understand it. And I think I remember that the era when 3D TVs were starting to be pushed, and you're like, watch the Masters in 3D, and you sit there, and I have no concept. But there were some shots this week that I was like, wow, like you actually can see how big. I think 10 down round the corner is like, dropping huge numbers of feet to get down there. But yeah, all ahead of us, as neither of us have still yet to go. So
need to get there. Absolutely.
Need to get there.
Need to get there. It's going to get to a point where it's like, I don't care what it costs. I'm going.
Yeah. No, I'm always, I do kind of humor myself by looking at the packages every so often. What I need to do, and to be honest, I haven't done it today, is we just need to go into the ballot every year, and the time your name comes up will just dictate the time you first go. And I think that's just a good way to do it. Because you can solve the problem with money, of course, but feels like cheating a little bit. Talking about Tiger, want to give a quick shout out to his playing partner on Sunday, Mr. Neil Shipley, the amateur.
What a story.
What a story. So I was saying to Josh, I remember seeing the video go reasonably viral from a golf standpoint, where he holed out to win his semi-final match in the US Am, which got him into the Masters. He didn't go on and win it, but I think from the way he spoke this week that the Masters was kind of as big a prize. And to make the cut, only amateur, and to get paired with Tiger on the last Sunday, I mean, the boys probably had a hell of a weekend.
Phenomenal. And he even shot 73 plus one, playing with Tiger. The nerves that he must have had, I think that's so commendable to be shooting that. I mean, he's made the cut, that's phenomenal in itself, right? But to add to that, to then go out Sunday with Tiger and shoot 73, beat him, I think, on the day.
Yes.
Probably. Tiger was 75 going backwards. Yeah. Is pretty remarkable. I know he doesn't have a fused spine, a fused ankle, fused everything. But phenomenal to go and do that. I've seen some clips have gone around about his caddy, who is literally just one of the boys from the team.
Yeah.
He's in his caddy, and he's caddying for his mate out of nowhere. He's just shaking hands with Tiger on a Sunday at the Masters. It'd be phenomenal, wouldn't it?
I mean, it probably, to be fair, was the ultimate setup Sunday, in the sense that he was playing with Tiger, so he was going to have a massive crowd following him. He was the only amateur to make the cut, so from that standpoint, pressure off.
Yep, he's in the log cabin either way.
Yeah, and he's miles away from the lead. So to be honest, if there ever was to be just like a freewheeling round to enjoy, I think that was probably it.
Yeah, maybe. But you could tell me all those scenarios and you're freewheeling round Augusta, and I'm just still going to be quivering over everything.
Oh dear.
There's still good bottle.
Yeah, no, great story. What else? Any other call outs from any other players particularly stood out from you?
I think it was a particularly good European showing. I know we've spoken about Åberg finishing second, Fleetwood T3. We've got Hatton was up in the mix there. I mean, Pavon.
Yeah.
I think it might be his first Masters. He finished top 15 for sure. And Højgaard was around until he just decided to just stick it in reverse for the weekend and just go backwards. But
did you see his first tee shot yesterday?
The rodent, the racing pigeon.
As in, it was the most aggressive boomerang I think I've ever seen on a pro shot tracer. It was
one of us.
Yes, he was definitely one of us. Yeah, no, I feel like the Euros always do quite well at the Masters. Is that just me?
Yeah. I mean, We like to think so, right? Because, well, we've got a lot of winners. Say we, the Europeans. Okay, we're not Europeans anymore.
Our continent.
Brexit means Brexit. But it is good to see the challenge. And yeah, I think you're right. Last year felt... No, not last year. God, yeah, Ron won it last year, crikey. I was going to say last year wasn't so good. But then the rest of it seemed to be quite American heavy. Yeah, I think we do, but it's always nice to see. It's always nice to see a leaderboard with a few different names. I thought that the live guys, by and large, showed that they're still a force. Smith, DeChambeau, Reed was still there or thereabouts.
I mean, the world ranking thing just has to get sorted out. Like, surely, just, you know, with everyone even now talking about it, with how it just doesn't mean anything, it doesn't count for it. I mean, surely that is undermining the credibility of that organization. And if you were in charge of that organization, would you not be looking to solidify your credibility as quickly as possible, which would be, you know, basically looking at it again. I saw Billy Foster also came out, and he was just like, the calibration from PGA Tour to DP World Tour has just wrecked DP World Tour, because like if you want to be in the top 50 to get into the majors, etc., like you have to go play in America, and that's just how it's set up at the minute. Which, yeah, I mean, DP World Tour is one thing. I mean, at least they're getting some, but yeah, clearly live players should be in the top 50 in the world, and a lot of them are not.
Yeah, agreed. You know, and even when you think Tiger's Invitational tournament gets world ranking points, well, that's like a third field. So they can't even give it it's not a big enough field to have points to, because that's wrong. I don't fully understand it, / haven't really looked into it, because it's clearly a farce. But I think probably the 3-round part is playing a role. But I'd also argue that Challenge Tour events are quite often 3 rounds. Euro Pro Tour events, 3 rounds. Now, I know they don't get many world ranking points, but they still are part of the equation. For me, it's a political position, not an actual golfing position, which I think if you're the world rankings system, you're providing a system, you're not providing a choice of who you're backing. So they should actually be more impartial than I think they currently are being.
Yeah, no, I agree. Should we touch on Rory quickly? Another disappointing Masters.
Well, yeah, but everyone always touches on Rory, you know. It's like you turn Sky Sports on and they'll show you the whole round of Rory McIlroy, even if he shoots 97. You're like, I just don't care. He's a great golfer. He's a good player. I'll watch him when he's playing well. And it's not his fault. I actually think he's a decent bloke. But the coverage he gets is wild. I get it. He brings fans, and of course. But like, yeah, again, we probably saw every shot of his. He's not in the top 20. He's nowhere near it. It was terrible. I actually thought he was going to have a run at it after day one and kind of hanging around. And he just went, again, that round 2 was so poor. Just be going backwards again. All he needs to do is shoot level par. I mean, all we need to do is sat here talking about Augusta in the wind and horrendous.
Did it blow all day Friday? Like, was it a case where everyone's scores were awful, or was there a window where people got out and shot some half decent ones?
So, if I'm not mistaken, which I could well be, often am, I think there were only 8 scores under par on Friday, and I think there were only another 5 scores that were level par. So 13 total scores, level par or less.
Yeah.
As in on the day, not for the tournament, as in shot on that day. So it had to be tough all day. And then they softened it up, didn't they, Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, it's class how quickly they can just change the setup of the course just with the sub air and all of the rest of it. Could do that at RMS, could you imagine?
Yeah, just sub air the Thames back down.
Yeah, just remove the Thames. That'd be a very kind of Augusta way to do it. Let's just take out that river.
Yeah, send the floodplain elsewhere. Send it into central London. See where that goes.
Oh dear. So I've got a question for you. You see a lot of there was quite a lot of good footage of kind of just like the length of the pro shop line, not pro shop, the merch shop line at Augusta. You're going to Augusta. It's the first time. How big is your merch budget? And second part to that, what is the most rogue item you feel you would be capable of purchasing?
Yeah, okay. So I know the go-to rogue one's the gnome, but I wouldn't be able to get that home. And, living in a flat in London at the moment, don't really have a place for a gnome. So I wouldn't go for the gnome. Albeit the sell-on value is phenomenal. They're astronomical. But I'm not there to do that. So to question one, what's my budget? That will depend on if I've got in the ballot. That'll depend on what I've had to spend to get there myself. So if I've got in the ballot free ticket,
it's not free ticket, but it's cheaper.
It's less than what you'd buy it through a.
You're $5K all in.
Okay, so you're in for $5K.
Yeah, and that's probably like maybe a round of golf on the side, 2 rounds of golf on the side, and 2 days worth of tickets.
I think you're looking at least 10% of your budget goes on merch. I think at least. Because it's one of those, living in the UK, it's not something that you're going to get to do every year. It's not. You might do it once in a lifetime. You might do it twice. You might be lucky enough and do it a few more. But that first time, I think the budget has to be high. I'm talking 4 or 5 polos. I want maybe 3/4 zips. I'm definitely going to just end up getting a mug, some glasses. I don't know. Anything out of bucket hat, just because why not? What would be the most rogue item? Probably the bucket hat for me. I don't wear bucket hats. I don't. Yeah. I've only recently got into wearing caps because I've got a really circular head and I just look ridiculous.
Tell you what, your hat collection has bloomed quite quickly.
I'm proud of it. I won't lie. I'm really proud of it. It's a year in and it's going well. But I certainly don't have the face or head or stature for a bucket hat, would be what I'd say. I'm not edgy enough. I'm sat here in a golf polo talking about golf. I'm just not your bucket hat guy.
I had my moments when I thought I was young and cool, but no, definitely a baseball cap man now. Well, by the sounds of it, you should probably adjust that 10% because those polos and quarter zips, I think, would add up quite quickly. But I agree with you. I think the first time you go, you've got to get the staples in for sure. I would like to think I wouldn't go that rogue, but I just, I've seen these things. People have got key rings, gnomes, mugs, cups, wine glass collections. So, yeah. Anyway,
it also sounds like the queue. You're going to miss quite a lot of golf. So if you're going to do it properly. Because you're going to be queuing for a while.
So apparently, also, like if you turn up Thursday, it's just an absolute graveyard. Like there's just hardly anything left that you'd want anyway, and that is consistent. It's not as crazy, but when I mentioned before, I worked in the merch tent at the Open at St Andrews 2015. I mean, obviously the merch was good, but like by tournament Thursday, the good stuff was gone. And so if merch was a priority and you had any kind of way of selecting your Augusta day, get in on a Monday and prioritize it. Get it done and then enjoy your golf would be my advice. But yeah, I mean, one just to stick in the pipe, the dream pipe is I was seeing Rick Shields was hosted there by Mercedes-Benz, who are obviously like the official car sponsor for chauffeuring players and whatever else, I think. And they have literally houses virtually right on site, chauffeured in and out, tickets for every day. They've got like this chill out kind of hospitality house. So there's ways to do the Masters, and I'm sure that is the way.
Yeah, did you see I think it was $17,000
Yes, did see
for
that.
for the experience where you could again have a different area to sit in. I think you get your own merch shop, so the lines aren't as big. Again, that's the type of way you'd want to be doing it if you could, right?
And they sold it out. Completely sold out. $17,500 per person. Like it is crazy what it brings in.
Well, and that's why they can make the course as good as they can. It's why they can do what they do with the golf course. That's why they have the sub-air systems. It's why, broadcasting everything.
Did you see that the practice range where the players actually warm up is only available for the Masters tournaments and then the ladies amateur, and then I think there's a couple of other kind of major tournaments where that range is available. Members you know, however exclusive you think that is, you still cannot use the full facilities available, which I just think is mad. I mean, like, how crazy that literally that practice facility lays dormant for 95% of the year.
Yeah, it's mad. But I think, you know, if you're an Augusta member, you're chilling, aren't you? You're pretty comfy. You've probably got another golf club that you just go and practice at if you needed to. I'm sure the normal facilities are pretty good. You're going to be able to get on anywhere in any of these other sort of course sharing apps and things like that. I'm a member at Augusta. I want to come and play here. Yes, I will host you, just on the off chance that you decide that I'm a half decent bloke that you might host back. You'll be fine.
I think you'd almost have to fire that off immediately, wouldn't you? If asked by one, just be like, tit for tat, return,
100%. But then you've also got to think: does everyone do that? So maybe you just go there. I will host you. Get them on the hello turf, on your ground, and then pose the question.
Well, I know what you're like though. You would fancy yourself for talking yourself into it over a 4-hour period, wouldn't you?
I mean, yeah, you got to, haven't you? You've got a bit of BD, soft BD on course. Beautiful.
Soft BD, yeah, just all of them up. Nice.
Yeah, pretty much. I think a couple of big players missed the cut. We've talked about a few of them.
Yeah,
glad to see Thomas miss it. Always glad to see Thomas miss it.
He absolutely exploded. DJ, disappointing. I think he's mailing in at this point, isn't
he? He is. And then I saw both him and Paulina were on a boat on the weekend. Now he's still got a decent life, hasn't he? You know, you miss the cup. You go and spend the weekend on a boat, just having a drink, chilling out, watching a bit of golf with your 300+ million in the bank. Sound. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, all in all, it was pretty much, dare we say, predictable. I think the person won that we all thought was going to win. It was good to wet the whistle for what is now kind of the beginning of 2024 major season. I, for one, can't wait to get back to the UK and start playing some golf again. I am absolutely itching at this point. And yeah, congratulations to Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah, just to echo that, congratulations, Scotty Scheffler. Predictable, still not boring yet. If we have another year of predictable and he just keeps doing it, I will start rooting actively for other people.
So I always rooted for Tiger to win when he was the favourite, and I haven't got to the point where I want Scotty Scheffler to win. And now, like, I'm in favour of greatness, but like, it's a really weird thing that I can't explain. Like, I don't want Scotty Scheffler to win. I want a close tournament. Whereas with Tiger, I wanted him to win, and I would happily give up a close tournament for that result. Let's see how it goes. He needs to keep winning, of course, and we can cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, that was a bit of a quicker episode than we're used to. Normally we babble on for a little bit longer. As we say, bit of a special one being live, so it's not live, is it? Being online is what I really meant to say.
Yeah.
And the next one, which you should listen out for, is not going to be virtual. Stevie will be back in the country, and we are going to cover off somewhere very close to our hearts, Cape Town and South Africa in general. So listen out for that. Steve, you're back in a couple of weeks?
And yeah, just to add on to that, follow us on social, give us a subscribe here. The Instagram is kind of picking up kind of as of right now. So yeah, keep a lookout for all the bits and pieces we're posting. Lots of Josh talking rubbish. We're also going to finally get into some of our on-course content that we've shot over the last couple of months. So yeah, looking forward to the weeks ahead.
Absolutely. Subscribe, unsubscribe, then subscribe again. Unsubscribe and then subscribe again.
Full program golf, baby. All right,
cheers
mate.
all. Thanks for listening.
All right, love ya.